It is 6:15, so if we want to get started, I think we'll just start without Teen. I didn't get a response from her, so we'll just have Alex and Stephanie be our panelists tonight.
And Kia.
Yeah, if you want to stay, please feel free. We're going until 7:30, and you can duck out whenever you need to.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I would love just to kind of get started if the three of you would introduce yourselves, give us a little bit of background on what you do currently, and whether that's a job or what stage of life, season of life you're in. And then also I would like to hear a fun fact from the three of you about yourselves. And we can start with Kia. Do you want to start?
Yeah. Can I start with my fun facts? I just told you all I don't have a TV in my house. I don't have a TV in my house, and I've been collecting art. So that's been like my really cool thing for the past 2 years since I bought my house. I live in Washington, D.C. My firm is Determined by Design. My business is 8 years old. We're in the season now of not just doing the work, but how do we implement advocacy policy and change in a big picture type of way. So yeah, that's what we do.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Let's move to Stephanie. Do you want to go? You guys are like in this order for me. So it goes Kia, Stephanie, and then Alex. So that's how I'm seeing it. So we can go to Stephanie next.
Okay, well, I think everyone knows me. I'm here at Colorado State University. I'm celebrating my 32nd year. Yeah, it's a long time. Before that, I was a designer in Utah and also taught part-time at the Utah State University, originally from Michigan. Fun fact would be, well, I have 6 children. Grandchildren, quite a few.
On to Alex.
Hi guys. I'm Steph. For all of you that don't know me, which I think hopefully all of you do by now, I graduated in the spring and I was a student rep. So now Morgan is the lovely student rep, and I took over another position for emerging professionals. Currently, we are in the stage of finding a job still, but we have some stuff lined up, so fingers crossed. And my fun fact is I have a twin sister.
Who knew?
You did. I think you knew that.
I think I did.
I definitely didn't know that until we had our committee meeting last week, Alex. And somebody asked about your sister, and I had no idea that you had a twin. Pretty crazy. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves. I'm glad that all of you can be on here. And kind of traditional panel format, we're just going to kind of go through some questions that we had prearranged and answer however you please. And then at the end, I allotted like 20-ish minutes. That might change a little bit just because we started a couple minutes late, but we'll have a few questions from our audience, hopefully, if they are willing to speak up. And then I think we'll be at 7:30. So I'll jump right into the first question. Teen's here. Hi, Teen. Oh, you're on mute.
That is a good safeguard that you join in mute, but I apologize. We have a little bit of chaos going on over at my house. We had a small kitchen flood, so I'm so sorry for joining late.
Oh no, I hope you're okay.
Oh, everything's good. We're gonna be just fine.
Okay, you popped in right at the perfect time because we were just about to move to questions. So if you want to actually introduce yourself, give us a little background, talk about your current job, and then also if you want to tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Absolutely, I do. Thank you again. My name is Teen Nicolaysen. I am a graduate of the CSU Interior Design Program 2016, so not all that long ago. I loved my experience. It was really special to me because I actually originally studied finance. I went to school, a business school first at CU, and worked for a little over a year before deciding that I really was passionate about interior design and I wanted to make it official. And I researched all the programs in Colorado, and CSU stood out head and shoulders above the others to me. So that was what got me back to school. And when I went back to school, I didn't know if I wanted to do residential or commercial design. I had a big interest in both. And I, through the program, ended up interning in both residential and commercial, and I still loved both, but decided to pursue commercial design. So I immediately, I worked as an intern while in my junior year. I started with Galloon Snow, and that was a wonderful experience, and they brought me on full time. So Galloon Snow is an interiors only firm in Denver that focuses mainly on healthcare, but does a lot of civic, rec centers, and higher education projects as well. And then a couple years into that, I decided I was really interested in going to a big firm. Galloon Snow is fairly small. And so I moved over to Gensler, and I've been there for 3 years now. And that has been mostly focused on workplace, which coming kind of full circle, having a business background, it was really important to me to ultimately make it back to doing some workplace design, because I saw firsthand what an impact that good workplace design has on employees. So that is where I currently am. Personally, I had a baby on Christmas Day. So I have a 10-month-old son named Henry, and so I was home with him from December until the end of April. And then due to COVID, I was actually furloughed. So I was supposed to go back to work at the end of April, and I actually just ended up going back 3 weeks ago. So I was home for almost 10 months, which was an amazing silver lining in all this, that I got to spend so much quality time with my son. I was a little afraid I wouldn't know how to do Revit anymore or know what anyone was talking about. And so far, it's been like riding a bike. I've been really, really surprised. So 10 months out was not too much. I'm really grateful to be back. I was at a site visit today, just socially distanced and wearing a mask, and that's all weird, but it was really nice to be back in the game. I'm introducing myself. I'm rambling. I'm a rambler. I'm a talker. So that's my background. That's what I do. I've been involved heavily with ASID. I can't say enough good things about what ASID has done for me. I see both Stephanie and Kia are on the call, and man, they have been instrumental in being mentors to me. So I met Kia, I think the first time that she spoke at CSU, and have tried to make sure to be there anytime since that she speaks in the state of Colorado, or I hunt her down in Washington, D.C., or, wherever I can. And my God, Stephanie, I can't say enough about you're a living legend. And when I was a sophomore, and I think we're just coming into your role as national board president for ASID, and I thought, if she's involved with the ASID, it has got to be a really important organization, because look at the knowledge she has and the career she's had in education and interior design. So I should do that. So I did. I got involved, and ever since, it has just been like sort of like I had a little involvement, and then it kind of built and built and built. And as of October 1st, I started as the president of our Colorado chapter. So yay! Yeah, surprise! So this month, October has been a big month. October 1st, I became, took over as ASID Colorado president and went back to work. So It's all happening, everyone. So fun fact.
4 years? 4 years?
4 years of
4 years
my term.
the president of the chapter.
Yeah. So of the last 5 years, I've been on the board 4 out of the last 5. So I was a student rep my final year of school, 2015 to 16. And I off for a year. Then I was the financial director, and then president-elect last year, and now president. So yeah, pretty much.
Look at that. I mentioned that to say because there, still things you can be to be engaged. And these positions that you start out of leadership as a student can lead. You just got to keep building on it and staying engaged. So great job.
Completely. Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, Teen. We're so proud of you.
you just have to say yes at least once to start,
Oh.
and then carving your path forward. So that's kind of my background, and my fun fact is that my kitchen flooded, but then we had to rip up everything. So
Not so fun fact.
yeah, it's gonna go back better than before. That's the beauty of being an interior designer. I see nothing but opportunity in front of us.
Great
It's
positive.
not a good thing that my kitchen flooded, but it's a good thing that I know that we can make it better.
Teen, I know a really good designer if you need one.
Yeah, right. That's why this meeting ran long, obviously, with our contractor, because we're like starting to have, we could do this, we could do that. It's like, God, cut it off. That's
Well,
me.
that kind of transitions me perfectly into our first question. I would love to hear from the four of you a little bit about your background with ASID, how you started, how you got involved, just kind of touch on that. And then we'll get into more specifics about, I think Teen kind of talked about how much she loves Kia and Stephanie, and there's a question coming later down the line about some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you would just give us a little bit about how you are currently involved or were involved in ASID, how you got there, and we'll start there.
So I started out as I went to an event in undergrad, and this guy was like, "You look like an SRB," and I was like, "I don't know what that is, but okay." And then I applied to be an SRB of the Pennsylvania East chapter of ASID. And it just kind of set the trajectory for my career. When I started, we went to CLC, which is like the chapter leadership conference where all the chapters come together. And I saw one of the key speakers was Deborah Lloyd Forrest. At that time, she was like a really big, like really still to this day huge in like hospitality, boutique hotel design. And I was like, I need to meet her. And I introduced myself to her. I didn't say anything like profound, but like, oh my God, I love your firm's work. She saw something in me, and fast forward, I graduated. I think I sent her 1 or 2 emails, not asking for a job, just giving updates. And when I graduated a year later, she called me out of the blue to ask if I wanted to sit on a national council, the Emerging Professional Advisory Council. And that just set the tone for just councils at the national level and relationship building with people like Stephanie, Roz, Tama, John Ciernecki, Susan Sanazi, and these are all like major magazine editors and chiefs at that time from every publication. So ASID has been instrumental from a just professional development, relationship building standpoint. Yeah, I can't replace. Would I be where I'm at today? Sure, maybe. Would I have some of the relationships I have and the support? Maybe not. ASID did it get me a job? That's not it's not ASID's job to get me a job. It's my job to build the long-term relationships and give back to my profession. But it's been truly an amazing experience. So yeah, you get what you put into it.
Yeah, definitely. Stephanie, would you like to go next?
I'd like to go last. May I?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
We'll go to Alex next.
Sure. I'm a little closer in my process as you as students are. So I sat on the board at CSU for a couple of years doing fundraising, and then I went and was the SRB, much like a lot of other people here. And now I'm the Emerging Professionals Chair, which is really exciting. And I also sit on the Student Affairs Committee. So you'll be seeing a lot of me and Morgan in the future as we put on events for you guys. Kind of what Kia was saying, ASID, what it gives back to you is about the connections you guys make. I haven't found a job when I was looking for internships or now really through ASID, and I didn't really look through ASID. As amazing as everyone I know is, it's kind of good to go off on your own. But now I have some really wonderful people to rely on in the future, like Teen. That's that's about it. I'm happy to see a lot of you guys that I know from school.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why didn't you feel you said you didn't go to your ASID folks first for job opportunities? Was there a specific reason?
No, I think it was more so when I was looking for internships, I kind of wanted to see what I could get on my own. And I ended up finding an internship that has no affiliation with ASID, and it was amazing. But the kind of nice thing is I always knew that there were people there to kind of like push you to be better. And now look for jobs too. It's always helpful to reach out and stuff, but it's kind of nice to go off and find something before having to sneak in and rely and ask if anybody had any jobs.
Oh, that's good for you. Good for you. I like that.
Same. All right, my turn.
Yes.
I kind of talked about it, but Alex, I think that's really interesting and a good take on your affiliation with ASID, and Kia, to parlay off what you said too. It's like, it wasn't ASID's job to get you a job. It's our duty or job to get involved. And then oftentimes the outcome of being proactive is a job, or it's a relationship, or it's maybe you helped, like I helped someone, or I met someone that I could help. So I like to frame it very much more. So you get just my journey was that I remember Stephanie mentioning that Kia was going to come speak to us, and that she had been and so I applied to be that. That was just a really great opportunity to start, and from there meet a ton of different crossed paths with. I truly believe, if I hadn't, and that just led me to kind of keep getting asked to fill different volunteer positions that sort of fit with my skill set. And additionally, my first job with Galloon Snow, I met through an lady help of consistently your network in a genuine way like that.
Nice. Yeah. Stephanie?
Well, my exposure to ASID was actually at Michigan State University as an undergrad. And I was very shy and just felt I needed to be bold. So out of the blue, I applied for their president of the student chapter at that time. And I still have the poster I handmade for myself and the picture of me at that time with my glasses on top of my head. It's hilarious. I was going to hunt it out for you so you could have a good laugh. But I won, and then I didn't know what to do with it. So, I can remember just moving forward. And then I moved from Michigan to Utah because I loved mountains and I didn't like gray days. So I wanted sunshine and mountains. So I got a design job there and took the NCIDQ and passed. And during that period of time, I found some ASID colleagues in Utah. So I became involved as the secretary of our chapter and so on and so forth. I didn't get to vice president or president because then I moved to Colorado a few years later, and then got involved here and became vice president, and then got involved actually because I was an educator with IDEC more. So I kind of still held we've had a chapter here the entire time I've been here, in an ASID chapter. And we are the best student chapter, by the way, in the nation, I might add. And which has everything to do with how well the students run the chapter. It has everything to do with the leaders that our students are. But I got involved with IDEC and did a number of things there, and was privileged to be their president for a period of time at a national level. And then, I had maxed out there, so to speak, and had so many cool friends. And ASID, so organizations nationally will look around at the national level as well for who's there. And so I was approached by ASID to sit on their national board. And that's how I got involved at the national level. So what's cool, the piece that we've talked a lot about is the connections and how you kind of need to be bold as you're jumping in forward, as you go forward on these. The piece that I think is really important, and I always get emotional about it, is because I have so many cool friends that I've met. These designers are not just people on a committee. They're not just people shaping the future. They are my friends. And I send Christmas cards to them. And I love to see them on Zoom or on Teams. And I know that when I reach out, they know the vocabulary I speak. They know why I'm so excited about design and so devastated like Kia when it doesn't, when there are pieces we still need to do. And they understand things my parents don't understand about me and never will. Or I might add my husband, who when he first met me, I was teaching at CSU, and he said, "Oh, I saw on your door, you have a doctorate. That must mean you know how to decorate a room really well." I had to marry him to get him to educate. So yeah, there's a lot of really good things about ASID, but one of the things I value most on a personal level, not talking about career, are the friends. They're our family.
Yeah, I feel like our board, everybody here pretty much is on our board, and I feel like all of us are probably nodding whether we're on camera or not, because I think a lot of us feel similarly to that.
Can I share another fun fact?
Yes, please.
I don't like a lot of clutter in my house. There is only, and my refrigerator is like, it's very pristine, but there is only one Christmas card that is still on my refrigerator, and it's of Stephanie and her family.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so
Well, that's your family.
Relationship building.
It is. Thank you.
That's very sweet. I feel like all of you touched on various questions that we have here. So I'm just going to go to one of the next ones that we have, but I feel like we're going to touch on all these things that you guys are talking about, because one of our other questions has to do with ASID's impact on your life in general. So let's hop to that one. Let's talk about how ASID has impacted you personally. You can touch on professionally as well, but what you guys were just saying about relationships and everything that you gained from ASID, both as students, professionals, throughout all seasons of your life. How has ASID really left an imprint on you?
I mean, I would say, my personally, right? So I had never publicly, professionally spoke before until Stephanie was like, "You should come speak to my students." And Stephanie and I served on the national board together. And I was like, "But why?" She was like, "I just think they would love you." so
Right.
Right. And I was like, okay. And I think so personally, it allowed, it's those relationships that allowed me to see that I didn't see something in myself that other people saw. And then I was able to cultivate that. And now I've probably spoken at more than 50 schools, sometimes like every year, every semester, because one person said, "I think you should come to my school." And the same thing goes for my ASID like Colorado family. I think it was Lynn who one time at a president's forum stood up in the room and said, "If you ever need a speaker, you should call Kia." And I was just like, okay, I was just here to and personally, what does that do? That led to a lot of paid speaking opportunities. So it's personally created another revenue stream for me as a business owner. So, I think it's things like that that are invaluable to what ASID has done. Even when I first had to get my business contracts for my business, that was the first lawyer I ever engaged. I met through ASID, and he provided those services pro bono. So personally, new business owner, young entrepreneur, blissfully ignorant to a lot of things, and he made sure that I was okay. That's the power, I think, of ASID from a personal perspective. um in my relationship with Teen, like I see Teen, and we were at an event when it was like in DC a couple years ago, and we were in the corner like whispering about life in like 30 minutes. It was like, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I think it's those types of relationships, seeing everyone evolve. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, that these people become like your family. Yeah.
Who would like to
It
go?
opens it opens up your circle too, because otherwise, you see your coworkers, or I don't know, you have your set of a handful of people that you would see all the time, and ASID just brings in, it's a wide range of types of designers, levels of experience, and not to keep going back to the professional. I think that's a really enriching thing personally, because that, it's valuable to spend time with a variety of people. It's always just been so much fun. I go to event. I'm an extreme extrovert, so this is something I know about
I
myself.
have some of that.
Sometimes I'd like to offload some of it, because I will be like so tired and think I cannot go to this event, and then I will show up at an event. It might be an ASID event where I feel like I don't even know anyone, and then I am like buzzing with excitement as I leave the event, because I just absorb all that energy from people. So I love that about ASID.
But so Tama Duffy Day, she's like really big in like healthcare at Gensler. She and I were having breakfast once, and this goes to what you said. She's like, I hear people say work-life balance, or my personal life is separate from my work life. And if you don't know Tama don't talk like this. She's like, that's bullshit, right? So much of if you love your craft and the people you're with, it is personal. So there shouldn't be a distinction, especially with what we do as designers, serving people. It doesn't get more personal than crafting spaces for people, whether workplace, home, hotels, retail, restaurants, churches, whatever. So it is a personal component of that. So I think it is hard to find that delineation of personal benefits, professional, because it's so intertwined.
Stephanie,
Also,
Alex?
kind of what everybody was saying in like the cheesiest way is through ASID at school is where I met some of my best lifelong friends that I'll have forever. And I talk to them every day, and I don't talk to very many other people that I graduated with. And then being a board, having this kind of, it is like a family, especially with COVID, they're the only other people I saw. So it really turned into a family, and it's having that support system that I know I'll have when I continue out through the profession, is I'll always have this group of people that are there behind me, supporting me no matter what. So you guys on your board at school will have all of them. And then when you come into the professional world and you start to meet more people, you'll have all of us as, holding your back.
I like that. I agree. It's the family.
Mhm. One of the things I love about my involvement with ASID is, besides the other things we've talked about at this point, is the wow factor. I talk to people about design, and by hearing them, I think differently about design. I hear things I never would have thought. I have conversations that I never would have had that shape who I am, not just as an individual, but shape how I talk with students about design. And to stay current on design and ahead of clients, you have to be involved. If you're just going off what Google has, you're not there. You have to be ahead. And to me, that's what ASID has really done, is it continues to expose me to new stuff that's out there. And I'm not talking just trends, I'm talking about deep research that helps shape why we're doing what we're doing, that gives us that conversation that we can have with people who we just meet in a grocery store with a mask on. I mean, it is, you know, that balance that Kia is talking about is, I don't know how you can take the designer out of us. It is us. And so we can definitely try to put constraints around our time with professional side, but I have found that I love being involved and part of the conversation than looking in from the outside. I want to hear those thoughts. I want to offer some questions. I want to hear other people's thoughts so my brain continues to grow and my sense of design continues to be open, more open. And so I think those are big things that I value a lot, is that wow piece of, I don't know of any conference or event that I haven't come home and gone, wow, I wouldn't have ever thought of that otherwise. So.
Yeah, so true. I think for those of us who went to Scale, I think, or some of those events that we've had throughout this semester, I think some of us have definitely experienced the wow factor. So I think it's a very relatable phrase. Might have to steal that one from you.
Go for it.
So let's talk about, let's see. I think when we were preparing for this event, one of the questions that we came up with had to do with like, what is unique to you, the one factor that you think is unique about ASID. I think that's really important for people, especially students who might be weighing joining other student organizations. And I think that's a really valid question, especially in those first couple of years, which I know we have a lot of seniors on the call, but we do have one underclassman, so, or a couple underclassmen, but one of them is newer to our group. So yeah, if you could all talk a little bit about a factor that you think is really unique to ASID that you don't see in the other organizations or other parts of your career.
I'll go. So I don't necessarily, I haven't looked around at other organizations and thought, oh, I'm not going to join that one because something's missing there. I'll be honest. I got involved in ASID and it was extremely beneficial and a great community. So I ran with it. And in retrospect, what I have absolutely loved and what I think really complements what I get from Gensler is that ASID is the organization for all interior designers. So the research and the focus and the membership cuts across all sectors of design, which is important because nothing anyone does is just in a neat little box, just, even if you're a commercial designer who does workplace design, like you're going to design a space that needs to have a hospitality vibe, and you're going to need to understand what the latest and greatest influences on hospitality are. Or if you are a healthcare designer, same kind of thing. You're going to have influences, the residential, I'm sure you all heard the term residential while you're in school, the influences of residential design on more commercial design. So what I have really, really loved about ASID is that it is the organization for interior designers. And that means all interior designers. And that's really benefited my expanding horizons versus being so focused in on just one aspect of interiors.
Well said. Who else has something to add?
Go ahead, Alex. I saw you unmute yourself.
Oh, I was going to say that as a student, I was a part of ASID and IIDA, and what I saw the difference is a couple things. One, ASID as students and as kind of more emerging professionals, you kind of have to take it into your own hands. And as students, you all on the board plan all of your events yourself, whereas IIDA kind of overshadows things a little bit more and you don't have as much freedom as a student. And kind of, I feel like in ASID, as we've talked about, you create a closer knit group of people, where IIDA is a little bit bigger and you kind of are out there free floating on your own without as much backing. And also being an emerging professional in ASID and sitting on those committees, looking at events that we're going to be planning for students and EPs and really focusing on how much students mean to ASID is a huge thing. And I never really got that from IIDA. It was kind of like, there's students there and they'll do something, but it's not our main focus. Whereas ASID has such a huge focus on wanting to plan, do events for students, and they love doing that. So it kind of made it feel like you're a little bit more important and you kind of matter more in the design world than I felt like I did with IIDA, at least as a student. Now I'm just part of ASID.
I haven't done any other ones to know. I think my thing is just pick one and go hard. Like that's what you do. And if you go hard and like Teen said, just keep saying yes, then it will unfold how it's supposed to be for you. And I think for me, I don't know most of the people I've connected with through ASID outside of the perception. It hasn't been a lot of people in the residential space. So I think it is all things. Teen, I never want you to say the phrase resumersal again. And I'm gonna send you a link to an article as to why.
Okay. I didn't say I was pro or con. I just say I'm sure you've heard it.
Yeah, let's stop beating the language. But yeah, I think just pick one and go. And that's your profession is about picking an association to better your profession, period. And I think we all just through relationships, and I think CSU having Stephanie have served as the national chair. What better example of what ASID can be for a profession, for a student, for someone coming into this industry. I made Teen get off the calls.
I'm still here. I keep getting this message that my internet is unstable.
So messing, I'm just messing.
So I turned my camera off to see if I could get more.
Way better than it saying I'm unstable.
Yeah,
so
I know. I took it a little personally at first, but you know.
Well, I'll just mention or add a couple of things really quick that I think are great about ASID. And like Kia, similar, I guess I looked at other organizations and just felt like this one was more of what I wanted. So it is a personal choice for sure, as well as a professional one. What I love is that ASID is a leader in health and wellness. They did their, they were the first with both LEED and Well Building Standard in their, in any facility in DC, and it happened to be in their headquarters. And because of association with ASID, CSU got involved with health, you know, the Well Building Standard. And that's moving forward here, thanks to students here. So I think that's one big piece, especially with the pandemic. We want design central as a part of the conversation related to how we're gonna move forward out of the pandemic. And especially when we think of just the simple thing of social distancing, which are the proxemics we teach in our freshman classes. I mean, how much more fundamental can you be that design is, and our interior spaces especially. I also really love ASID's environmental scans. They're the only organization that does that. They're scanning the world, the culture, the politics, all the different environments that can impact design. They keep track of how well we're doing. They look at our business our models. They post that kind of information to help raise awareness of the value of interiors and design of such. And they are also many times the leaders in really big things like continuing education units and things like that. They also have more members, which offers them a better budget, and it also offers you more connections. So if you move, you have a connection and an association already there for you. The other thing that was mentioned by Alex that I love, that I had written down as well, was the support of their students. They know the importance of the future generation. They have invested in it for decades. They were the first ones that had student chapters. They fund them and offer programs for them. They know the importance of involving students early in the conversation of design. And then we can always just talk about leadership training and professionalism training and things like that they offer us as part of our experience with them. So like Kia, I think it's, join one and go hard. I think while it's really great for students to join several and to put it on their resume, I also really think that it's more important of what you do when you join that association, and whether you can start even personally having a certain degree of metrics of your involvement, of what you do with discretionary time. And I mentioned to Morgan and a few others recently that one of our students who graduated moved to Honolulu and was looking for a position. Mm-hmm. And she had used me as a reference, and that principal of that firm called me, and I saw that she was ASID. And so in the interview for references for the student, I could talk about not only her characteristics as a designer, her skill sets, but I could also talk about how she'd been a leader in our chapter and how she had used her personal discretionary time to give back to further the profession. And to me, it's not just how well the student does in a class, but what they also do with their discretionary time. And to me, that's a key piece that I think, helps tell a story about the integrity of that person.
And Stephanie, that's so true, because when I see someone has ASID on their resume, I'm like, oh, what'd you do? Are you a member? Or are you active? Are you on a committee? Did you do anything? It's not enough to just have it on your resume. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was all very well said. And I think that's a really relevant message to some of the seniors that are on this call that have gotten really involved this year. I think they deserve a little round of applause, because I think thank you. I think coming into your last couple of years of school, you start to realize, okay, I don't want to just have ASID on my resume and then be asked about it, exactly what you were just saying, Kia, and then not have anything to talk about, not have anything to show for it. So yeah, all very well said. I've got one more question that I want to do in this kind of structured question panel discussion, and then we'll move on to Q&A for a little bit if our audience has questions, hopefully. So the last question I would like to ask you guys is, what would you like to see ASID do next? Thank you. That is a tongue twister for some reason.
Kia, you have to take that one first.
Hi.
Because I think you know.
I would like ASID to completely do away with these labels and identifiers of market segments and continue to be the one voice of the profession. I would love for them to lead the charge on true diversity initiatives, planning, long-term big picture, not just right now. I would love them to have more conversation around the housing, affordable housing space, continue to do the work around wellness, health and wellness, not just in particular market segments, but in all market segments and all communities. I think it's just continue to lead with students, its engagement with students. Alex, I love that feedback of you felt like it poured more into you, like than other places, like they wanted to hear your voice. I think they need to continue to uplift the voice of all. That's what I would like to see next from ASID.
I think I can talk a little bit to what I'd like to see and kind of what I'd like to see for you guys, knowing that COVID will probably be around for a little bit, and graduating when I did and when you guys will is a little scary. So I know that what I really wanted when I graduated was a support system and someone there so I didn't feel so alone. And hopefully I had that because I had my lovely board members. But I think what we need to do, and what Morgan is a part of too, being on the committee she's on with me, is that we're going to really put a lot of effort into preparing you guys for what to kind of come into and how to navigate not only ASID as emerging professionals, but in the future. And also just focusing more on giving back to the students, because we talk a lot about how students mean so much to us, and then we don't plan a ton around it, or we don't do this or we don't do that, and we say we're going to. So I think that this year will be really exciting, especially because CSU has always been such a huge part of ASID as a whole. So hopefully we'll be there to hold your guys' hand after you graduate for a little bit.
I like that.
Can you guys hear me okay? This is Teen. I have my video turned off. Okay. Sorry, weak internet over here apparently. But that is a really good segue. I think that I hope that we kind of leverage what we've learned from COVID, and just have a greater ability to connect across students. In Colorado specifically, we tend to very easily focus on designers in Denver, but this is an opportunity for us to really reach the entire state and even the entire region and collaborate with other chapters. Like the DC chapter in Colorado, we could do something together. So I hope we do things like that. And I totally want to, I totally agree with Kia that I want ASID to take the lead on real, genuine issues that relate not only to our industry. So I think fair housing is one that is coming up in the, there's so many ways that we could have an impact there, as well as making real inroads as far as diversity go in our profession. Because if you look around on this call, we all, for the most part, sorry, Kia, I don't mean to single you out, but we all kind of look the same, and I don't want that to be the case. And if ASID can have an impact there, that would be a good thing. That's
right, Henry?
Yes.
So Kia, I've got a couple questions for you. One is, you mentioned being the one voice of the profession. How many times has ASID tried to make that happen?
I want to say three or four that I know of.
Three already that I know of. Yeah. So it would be great if they just took the reins and made that happen. And we always try to bring everybody with us, and that's the best way to do it. But if they're not going our direction, we've got to be able to do something like that. The other piece related to diversity and inclusion and things like that, I just want to mention is that there's actually a small group going forward in one of my favorite topics, which is working with high school and middle school students, especially in rural areas, as well as urban areas, and doing some more targeting education of what design is, and to invite them to be part of our family, our field. And I'm really excited about what can happen in the next 10 years, because it's going to take a period of time to be able to help move the youngins in, but we want them. And there's a lot of buy-in, even from Canada. We have the Interior Designers of Canada being part of the same group. So we have CIDQ, IDEC, ASID, IIDA, and IDC that are all working together on working more with our youth. So I'm super excited about that, and I have really high hopes that the timing of this is critical.
Very well said, all of you. So I'm going to throw it out to the audience. If we have any questions that are out there, if you want to ask targeted or for all 4 of them, have at it. I'll give you the next 20-ish minutes.
I actually have a question kind of directed at everyone. As a junior, I know that a lot of us don't know the resources that ASID can provide for us as students and emerging professionals. So I was wondering if there's one resource that ASID provides for its members that you wish you had known when you were younger.
It's a great question.
I would say if you are a student member already, great. And if you are not a student member, become a student member, because when you go into the profession, you'll automatically be in a lower reduced price range than you were before. So you guys are paying your lump sum now for X number of years that you're a student. And then when you go into the actual profession as an emerging professional, it'll only be $85. And if you're not a member and you go in as an EP, that's a little bit more expensive. So if you aren't a member, now's a great time to do it and save some money in the future. That's my big one.
I would say I can't say. I think because I was connected to so many people, they made all the resources available to me. And I just think that speaks to the power of the community of ASID. But I would say utilizing their job bank more, as well as, again, going specifically down the entrepreneurship path. You know, my business insurance, my E&O insurance, contracts. These are some things they've now put out in the forefront of making sure that they know members have access to, but those things are critical for me. Hey, Vivian, good to see a new face.
I actually do have 2 questions. One can be for the 4 of you guys, but the other one is kind of more towards the student board. I'll just get that student board one out of the way. So I remember earlier you guys were talking about board positions, but I kind of forgot about it, and I was wondering if you could refresh my memory on what positions are available and kind of how that would work to get involved or potentially get on the board. I am a freshman, so I definitely have no experience to reference or even now. So any advice is appreciated.
Yeah. So we actually, and I was going to make an announcement, but I'll make it now because everybody else is on the board here, so we already know about it. But we're having elections at the end, probably in a couple of weeks. We haven't set a date, and obviously, Vivian, I've texted you a few times, so I will make sure you know about that because I know you want to be more involved. But we're having elections soon, and we're still trying to figure out, because of this shift with our curriculum, who actually is going to be staying around. Maybe we need to introduce a new position, like an advisor role for seniors that are graduating in December, but still or they're going to not graduate until May. They're going to hang out, do an internship, things like that. But we do have a few positions that are coming up soon. And I don't think off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly if we have a freshman rep right now. Okay, so you could be our freshman rep, that's great. Which would just mean that you're announcing to your class and making sure that, the freshmen are aware of the events and the meetings and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we would love to have you.
Kudos to you as a freshman.
I have a question for, I guess, kind of directed at everyone. So I am currently applying to social policy graduate programs because I'm really passionate about social impact design, and I feel like I need a foundation for that. I just don't feel super prepared to be in the workforce yet. And why not be a student during a pandemic? So I'm just considering all options. But I just want to know, are there any ways that you guys, or I guess suggestions of ways that you guys have that I could still be involved, or can I be involved in ASID still while I'm in school, even though I'm not design related, if that makes sense?
Yes, of course. So all you have to do is wherever you move and whatever graduate program you go into, just get involved with the ASID professional chapter as an emerging
Okay.
EP, just like Alex is saying. And that'll keep you very connected with the design field as you're studying the other. It'll be a nice intersection of conversations that'll take place where you're taking information from what you're studying to your professional chapter and vice versa. I would also really encourage you to connect with the nearby student chapter and volunteer to come and speak to them. That's an awesome thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Vivian, you got a second question, right? If I remember.
Yeah, so my second question was, I'm kind of considering about residential design, but also I don't want to totally exclude commercial design, because it's such a broad field and I don't want to cut myself off early. So I know that you guys definitely have a lot of opportunities for commercial design, but as for the residential sector, what does ASID offer?
So this is what I would say to anyone right now, whether you're like unsure of your path, looking for a job, internship, whatever. If you follow ASID on Instagram or any social, man, they're having a virtual something for everybody, every segment, everything, all different types of people. Attend them. And this is what I'm telling students. Ask to attend a presentation, right? Everybody's doing virtual presentations. So you know what? Kia, I just want to listen in to a presentation. I don't have to have my camera on. There's already going to be 30 other people on the call. They're not going to know who Vivian is, right? So I think this is how you get exposed now, by asking if you can listen in virtually. And if you watch them on some webinar, some Zoom panel, say, man, I saw you on that panel and I just would love to hear more about what you do from a residential aspect. Do you have any Zoom calls coming up where I can just kind of listen in and shadow? Low list asked at this point. I think that's how you decide. Do some virtual shadow days, listen to some Zooms. I'd be like, another, not for me, but I'm like, another Zoom ASID. All right, cool, great. But they're putting out that content. But I think you gotta go follow it and log on. Then follow up after that. That's what you do right now to decide, residential, commercial, whatever. That's what I've been telling a lot of folks to do. Students and soon to be or just recent graduates.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
I also want to add that just also if you choose one and start down that path, your skill set as a designer, you can always go the other direction. If you're like, oh, okay, after all that investigation and things I've met and things I've tried, I want to be a residential designer. You are not committing to that for the rest of your life. We are designers through and through, and you can design. So I don't want it to ever seem like you're signing up for the rest of your life to one or the other.
Not a marriage.
Obviously, there's, it's not a marriage. Totally an open relationship. Design is, so you can get more involved whatever direction. And obviously if you were to pivot in any way, you might need to brush up on, what are the relevant codes, or what are the big things about this design. But we are learning to be designers. That is what CSU is preparing you to be. And don't feel too scared about making the wrong decision or committing to one or something like that.
I think one of the things we really haven't talked a lot about tonight is trust. And it's incredible, an incredible amount of trust that a designer develops with their clients and vice versa. And oftentimes we'll see our clients who trust us in a commercial setting will then also ask us to help in residential settings. The door, you just need to open all the doors. See what happens and what comes forward. And your love of certain things that seem right now disconnected will somehow all evolve into ways that they intersect with each other in some way. And that's what's cool about it. And I don't know many degrees that you can have such diverse types of careers. You could take your next 60 years of practice or whatever, and you could do 10 years and devote it to each and certain area of design. Maybe it's not a sector, I shouldn't use that word, Kia, but whatever. And you would feel like you're in a different career in a lot of ways, using the same type of skill sets and developing new ones that you need as you move forward in that field. So yeah, let the doors fly open.
Yeah. Will do, thank you.
I have a question. It's gonna be kind of long-winded because I don't really know what my question really is, but I worked at a firm for a number of years, and I couldn't be a professional, and there's no design school there, so I couldn't be a part of a student chapter either until I came to CSU. So I just got to watch from afar all these professionals, and you actually is the Alaska chapter, and you were talking to them last week, Kia, and so you got to see a bunch of my mentors and people have inspired me to be part of ASID at school. And I just saw either like people working their tail off and doing like 12-hour days and ASID, or I just saw people who like weren't involved, you know, like I didn't really see like, so can you guys talk a little bit more about like what it's like to be at like the higher levels of ASID and like what it looks like after school? Like, does it tie in well with like your work hours and your life? And I'm the person that I'll take on way too much work and then be buried. So, I mean, part of it's me, but give me more of a picture and debunk some of that for me, or not.
Oh, that's good that you're self-aware, that you know that you're prone to taking on, because much like anything, too much of a good thing can also be, or too much of a good thing is not necessarily a good thing. And I think with ASID, just like I feel this way at my job at Gensler, you can say yes and yes and yes, and I am a big advocate of saying yes, but there's so much opportunity that you have to at least focus, I'd say, maybe a little bit, like choose that one thing you really want to get involved in. Like for me, I was really passionate about the student area of things. So I took a deep dive and tried to be the best student rep to the board I could be, and focus on being the best liaison between the student chapter and the professional chapters, and just sort of focused on that niche. And then when I moved to become the financial director, I couldn't keep doing everything I was doing with students and the finances for the chapter. It was, you know, in a beautiful, perfect world with 36 hours in a day, I would have liked to do that, but I personally felt like I had to focus, and that was only fair really to both myself and to the chapter, because if I'm spreading myself too thin, then really everyone's suffering. The students were going to suffer, and our chapter finances were going to suffer too. So I don't know if I'm answering your question very well, but from that standpoint, I'm also just like you in that I will take on way too much and then feel really overwhelmed and sad about everything. So I think the opportunities will be there, and you might have to put up some guardrails for yourself. But I do think, generally speaking, ASID is very, especially in Colorado, very geared to the professional. So there's, you know, when it's non-COVID times, there's a lot of events, but they generally happen after work, and they're very meaningful, as in you could get a CEU taken care of while networking. You know, they're very worthwhile and extremely social. So I think if you work at a small firm, or you decide to start your own thing, ASID is so great for filling in that social time we all need. Obviously, we're learning how hard it is to not have that social time. Or even if you work at a big firm, it's still just a really wonderful network of people. So that's my take on your question. I hope I hit some of it.
I would say pick one committee and to begin with. I think it's going to depend on, you know, the company you're working for. Make sure that you're clear with them up front that you want to be engaged in this professional association and you want to dedicate X amount of hours, business hours. Don't go crazy and be like 20, right? But, you know, maybe every Thursday I would like to commit, you know, an hour to this committee work. So it's just not spilling over to my personal life, but then also outlining why it's advantageous to said company, not that you just want to stop working early because it's beneficial to you. But I think that's how you start to approach it. One committee, ask for 1 hour, make it upfront that this is a priority for you and plan around that time. But that's what I would recommend.
To add to that, I think many of our students, when they graduate, think about, oh my gosh, I have a job, and there's not a lot of negotiation. And sometimes there isn't a lot of negotiation with firms. You have a set salary, and that's what they're paying to have a certain type of parity within the firm itself. But it doesn't mean you can't negotiate for them to pay your ASID dues, for instance, or those kind of things that are part of it. So they can do that one time, even if you ask for them the first 2 years of while you're working there. And again, like Kia said, show that type of benefit. I think I agree with all of you that you should choose one committee that you're really interested where you want to give back. And I think what's interesting is you never know, and this is not said in a spooky Halloween way, but in a good way. You never know who's watching you and being impressed with what you're doing. And they will put your name forward the next time. Kia said, you know, she started with one committee and it just kind of rolled into the others. And then it's just how much time you want to spend. Teen's got a brand new little Henry there, and she's our Colorado chapter president. So there has to be some type of balance in life that you're doing. I raised children and was still involved, and my children are very pleased that I was involved. So you can balance family or other interests. I'm not a big television person. I'd rather be doing something physically rather than sitting and watching. And so, you know, that's my time where I'll do other things related to stuff that I just really love to do. And a lot of times that's an association.
I think that joining a committee after you guys graduate will be really helpful. And I don't think everybody knows just how many we have, because there's a lot. You can do anything that you want to do. If you want to be a part of the emerging professionals, if you want to do like awards planning, you can do it all. But I think it's a really good idea to get involved after you graduate, because a lot of people kind of graduate and they fall off and they don't really stay connected. And then the people that stay connected, you again, we go back to the same thing. If you have those people that are there and they're your support system, and I get to see Morgan every month, and I get to see lovely, lovely ladies that are my support system, and we get to make really fun events. And it's something that when you're new to the profession is really scary coming from a school. So it's your support system. Join whatever you guys want to. You can join as students. You can come sit with me and Morgan on Zoom calls every month. We'd love to have you.
This is true. No need to wait.
Yeah, no need to wait. Come on.
And if there isn't a certain type of event or some other type of involvement, the chapter really reflects the people who are in the community. So propose one.
Thank you so much. That was what I was thinking too. Like, it must be like we're so focused on school and like studying and getting done, and then you get into the professional world, and so that's really great advice too. Like, just a way to transition into that and have a community and a solid foundation for when you land. Thank you.
I think the hardest thing, especially at this time, is that our students might feel, or our recent alum might feel invisible. And we don't want that, you know. So the chapters allow you to be visible and engaged for greater good, which stirs our souls, which are the things we love to do the most. And those are critical to keeping yourself engaged.
So Chelsea, I'll say, and guys, I'm gonna pop off soon. It's past my bedtime. But when one of the things I've always said, right? You all stay in the studio, you sleep there, you eat there, you do everything there. Then you're like, oh my God, I gotta graduate. You ain't met nobody. So I've always challenged once a week, go to some type of professional development networking outside of the school, right? You have to prioritize that time. That's key. Once a week, that's one event. 4 outfits. Well, now it's 4 outfits from the top up. I would encourage you to keep that same mentality of once a week. Watching. You don't have to put your camera on, but that's how you do it. And then take that a step further. Of that once a week, send 2 of them handwritten thank you notes. Right? I've been writing a lot of handwritten notes lately, knowing folks ain't in the office, right? But when they pop in there, they're gonna see that and they're like, oh wow, that was nice. So stop looking for these transactional touch points, but look to build the relationship. And just say, hey, Tama, I saw you on this thing, and I just wanted to drop this note to say how influential it was during such a crazy time when you're talking about workplace and wellness. Hey, Kay Sargent, but whatever, right? Think outside the box. 1 a week, two personal touches and outreaches. Is that fair? All right, cool beans. Guys, thank you so much. You know I love my CSU family. Like real talk. I'm still aiming for an honorary degree, so we're just gonna keep talking about that.
Heck yes.
Yeah, but be safe. Keep being the best ASID student chapter in the nation. I'm proud of you all, and I'm always glad when I can pop in. Supposed to be 15 minutes, but yeah. But y'all be safe.
Thank you.
You too,
Yeah, we
Kia.
love having you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming on.
Hey, you guys, sorry, Morgan, can you just write this as something for us to do? Before the end of the semester, we need to send Kia an honorary degree wrapped in a cute little green and yellow ribbon and put into a specialty box.
Love that.
Can
Okay.
we send her some CSU cords?
Yes, let's do, and a hat. I've got an extra cap or something that we can send her.
Yeah, definitely. Gabby is writing that note. I'm watching her write the note.
Thank you, Gabby.
I would even hand deliver it if I could, since we're in the same city, but
Well, if anybody has a last question that they'd like to get out that they've been holding back, we can do that. Or if there are no more questions.
I just want to say to Teen and Alex, I'm so proud of both of you. You're amazing. You guys have done so much and are doing so good. I so appreciate seeing your faces again.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I feel the same way. It's like, it is ASID family, CSU family. It always feels good to see each other and connect again. So thank you for everything you've done to build the most amazing program. I can't say enough good things about my experience, and I'm so happy to always talk to students. I hope to always be invited.
Count on it.
Yeah. Well, with that all being said, I am really grateful that the 3 of you were able to join us, and all of our lovely board members were able to pop on tonight. And Vivian, maybe you'll be a board member soon. So yeah, I hope that we can somehow, some way, I mean, I'm going to see the three of you probably very soon because that's my life. I see all of you in different Zoom meetings. So I'm really grateful that you guys could come on and talk a little bit about ASID, and just, it's lovely to hear from professionals always. So.
Excellent job moderating, Morgan. That's not an easy task to do. So great job.
It is my first time. It's a little stressful, but I'm glad that I know the three of you. Kia popped on. I don't think I've ever,
it's like a
I don't think I've ever actually met or spoken to Kia, so that was my first
really?
time.
Oh, well, connect with her again offline. Send her one of those handwritten notes. She would love it.
I will be doing that.
You can send me one, Morgan. I like getting mail.
Okay.
There you go.
I have my thank you notes sitting over there, so everybody will be receiving one from me personally.
And on behalf of myself and Ellie, thank you so much for being here. And Morgan, thank you for leading this. It was absolutely beautifully done. And it was really wonderful to hear from everybody.
Yeah. Yes, be on the lookout also, because one, if not all of you, this might be kind of something that we should do earlier on in the fall, like as a welcome back kind of thing. That might be kind of a fun way to engage people and hopefully stir up some excitement about it. So future notes.
Morgan, we do have a faculty council meeting on campus on Monday. It's a special meeting with President McConnell and the provost. We're looking for a facilitator. Would you like to handle about 250 faculty?
Oh my God. Maybe we should discuss on Zoom, but potentially that sounds interesting. I am interested. Maybe I should just take a note from teens. Yes, I should say yes.
You should say yes. You should be bold. I'll put your name forward and see what they say.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. It's good to see all of you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.